Good day, welcome back to the Student StarCraft AI tournament. Today we have got a lot of specials, meaning games which have either been suggested and we have a very special human versus AI with AIs sporting neural nets by Niels Justensen. So that will be very interesting. I haven't seen the game live, so I dropped in only after they'd started for a long time, just caught the last bit. And Niels was so kind as to provide me with replays, which is always very interesting. Then Dan Gann provided me with these two games I'm going to start it with next. And the first one is between Marek Kadek, one of the class of 2013, and Roman Danielis, the Protoss from the same era. So to start off, we have a handful of Zealots versus 3 Marines. The Marines would do better not to engage that, but Marines being fairly stupid, I guess that's what you get. And once the Marines have been disposed of, the Zealots will congregate for a little party, and Roman will start taking up. Another scout going off, just to make sure there is no thing here, and just keeping tabs on the map. That's very good and nice. And now with a couple of medics, I suppose that was pretty much par for the course in 2013. Ooh, those scouts leave another well alone. Natural coming up for Roman Danielis, and Roman has now got a forge. This probably will be, oh no, that's the cyber core, and another base for Marek Kadek. So very little interaction between these bots, but build order-wise, pretty decent. As you can see, lots of bio with a couple of vultures and a tank. Ooh, and there we go. So the first push is going to be, well, I'd say with the medic. No contest, but still a lot of damage is being done to the vultures, to the marines, and this goon will be racking up a couple of kills as well. But all in all, I think this is a clear victory for a Terran. Terran not capitalizing on it, just sitting back while Protoss basically is very much defenseless. Couple of goons hugging this pylon, don't know what that's about. A couple of vultures could just run in and kill everything. And no third base yet, so double base play is pretty much what you get in 2013. And finally a third base, that's pretty good, but now we're already at the 10-minute mark. Army transfer to defend the third, pylons at natural, and even compared to modern standards, just putting up 2 pylons in a decent position to protect your natural is pretty pro. So that should not be scoffed at. No third base for the Terran, and this science facility is way out there, and this one is too. And we got a physics labs in the middle of the map, a large Terran army, and you can also see that in the army supply. The armies are about equal, and with Protoss being on gateway units, that might pose a bit of a problem. Then again, the third base is up. Oh, and there is a large batch of army here too, and it leaves as soon as the cannons are done. And right in time, because the Terran looks like it's going to push, and all the units are filtering back into the main base, which might be a bit of a problem, as these tanks will start oh, the first one dives in headlong among the goons and doesn't siege. And the goons will now try to rip through this Terran wall, but now with the Marines and Stim and the medics and the tanks in the rear, even without siege mode, they provide a lot of firepower. And the Protoss will have to be careful not to wade it. Oh, the mines! Haha, that's bloody brilliant. Then again, the tanks are too far in the rear, and 2 tanks survive, so again we've got a bit of a draw with Roman Danielis losing most of its army, and a third for the Terran is now up, so nice back and forth. We've got a Corsair, that's good. And we've got a shuttle as well. What's the shuttle going to do? Oh, we've got a scout, a Corsair, and a shuttle. So Roman taking to the air, and we've got a covert ops and a physics lab. So perhaps we'll see a battle cruiser. Not going to have a peek at the unit production screen. Oh, 4th base for the Protoss. Very well done. Could do with the pylon. Oh, and the scouting. The scouting vulture is, oh, neglecting to kill any of these delicious juicy probes. 4th base for Terran being started as well. And now Protoss is marching out. Oh, we've got a Reaver in shuttle. That's pretty good. So you can see Roman Danielis, even though it's from 2013, it's pretty decent. It's really pretty decent, and it's only if you put pressure on it, like with most bots, that it will fall over. Oh god, where is the shuttle? Oh, there's the shuttle. So that's a huge... You can see Terran just going for the large armies and the vault. Oh, the Reaver! 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 Oh, and it forgets to fire. That's a damn pity. But this base is being torn down record speed. Nothing much is being done about the army. And I think, considering the circumstances with 7 goons, you can't really do too much against this mech army. So much better to tear down the fort, then you're on a 4 versus 3 base situation, which is well worth it. Oh, we've got Dark Templars now too, so this game's shaping up into something quite delicious. And you can see now this base, this full small force is just falling to pieces. And what have we in the shuttle? In the shuttle we will have a Reaver. Oh god, this is positively the worst Reaver drop I've ever seen. Fly over a couple of Marines, drop a Reaver, don't fire, fly back and die. Okay, well that's a big pity. Protoss now taking this base, and you can see no cannons to protect this base. If there might be cannons here, of course you could kill the science facility with the covert ops, but the scouts are here and are doing their massive anti-ground damage. So there you go. And Terran now sitting back with its huge army. The army is about double that of Protoss. Protoss has got the bases. We'll have another base here soon too. The probes are being transferred unhindered, and the Dark Templar is killing the science facility with the physics labs. It's called physics labs. And the DT gets scanned, gets science vessel and killed. And now the Protoss has gotten wind of this base here. There will be cannons, but I fear they will be a little bit too late. And 2 scouts can't really do much against this colossal army. But as soon as the probes die, perhaps this Terran bit might... Oh, they're after the pilot now. So, no, that doesn't really work that well. 4th being rebuilt by Terran. Unfortunately, a turret was placed in the spot where the command center should have been. But that is a minor detail. Protoss sticking to gateway, and the shuttle I really could do with a unit portrait so we could see what's in the shuttle or how many kills things got. And the Nexus is going to fall. You can see Terran's army is really getting out of control. No repair though, so this might actually burn down if it takes a couple of hits more. And now it's in the red, so we'll start burning down. And we have no battle cruiser yet, so that's a bit of a pity. But Terran is just going to build more and more army. It's 3 versus 3 bases, at least if you count this as a base it will be, because workers will need to be transferred or built. But Terran just going to go, oh, we've got a nice... I think they make the screenshots for on the boxes like this, with a blizzard do that and all kinds of cool units and effects going off and a shuttle. So for a blizzard expansion box screenshot, that would have been very nice. The Reaver is a bit slow to catch up on the action, but with the Dark Templar and the Goons, Protoss is doing quite well. Terran can't really get its stuff together, and the army is still only about double that of Protoss. And now you're being scanned, all science vessels from all sides. The Reaver is doing pretty well. Oh, that's an EMP. That's... Oh, I've never seen that used, and Marek Kadek is doing it. EMP on the Goons. Well played, sir. And now this Reaver is really dishing out the damage. You can see Terran has got... The war started out with double the army, and it dropped to about 150%. That was Protoss, so Protoss fighting relatively well. And I think a large part of that is because these tanks are not siege. And what the hell is this Reaver doing? Hello? Oh god, that's a pity. And now with the scouts and 2 goons and an observer and 1 Dark Templar, I think this mech army is just way too much for Protoss at this moment. A couple of stragglers will try to straggle in at the end, but even the Corsair snuffs it. And now Terran is taking more bases. Again, a turret in the wrong spot. Protoss take another base too. I'm going to speed it up just a little bit. And Protoss... Oh, a Dark Archon. Wow, what will we see next? Protoss' problem is that it really can't get a large army together. And Terran can. And that will... because how, if you were a simple bot, Well, not that. Roman Danielis is simple. Oh, that was another EMP on this pylon. That was pretty well done. Commend you for that, science vessel. How do you fight a large Terran army? And the only saving grace for Roman Danielis at this point. Ooh, targeting the science vessel. That's pretty good because there are Dark Templar. And if the science vessels die... Ooh, and although the tanks are suffering badly, there is just too much for Terran at this point. Supply again double. And what is this Dark Archon going to do? I fear not very much. And the goons are getting low. The goons are getting low. If you kill this science... Oh, the science vessel kills itself. That's very convenient. And there was a Dark Templar somewhere. No, Reaver dies. Another Dark Templar. We've got a couple of scans because there are comsats all over the place. Should be energy for ages. But then again, you've got to shoot at these Dark Templars. Ooh, the mines! The mines! Ooh, and another couple of Templars. Snuff it. And Protoss just really can't get an army off the ground. Now trying it with one base, one gate carriers. Don't know how successful that will be. And I think I just missed the feedbacked medic. Not really sure because I didn't really... Oh, and these expansions are being taken simultaneously. That's always very interesting. And Terran just visiting all the bases with all the units. And Terran is approaching max. Wow, 90 army supply. Protoss with the base. And we've got High Templars, we've got carriers, we've got the Dark Archon, but you need... Ooh, and Terran forgets to scan, but there is a science vessel there. And what is this Dark Archon going to do? I wonder about that. You can't really feedback a... oh, Storm would be nice. Could we have a Storm, please? Couple, 1, 2, and you decimate half the army's hit points. Carrier isn't really getting involved. High Templar isn't really getting involved either. And it's goons versus tanks, and that usually doesn't go that well. Oh, but a couple of well-placed Reaver shots might still inflict a lot of damage on these Terran units. Oh my god. It's only the supporting units are slowly dropping dead. But the Reaver, with another well-placed shot, is really taking its toll on the Terran units. A couple of goons and a scout. Oh, what was that? That was, I don't know, feedback. Could do with a storm. Have we got storm? Small peak. No, we've got mind control, disruption web, and hallucinate. Haven't got storm, so that's a pity. And the shuttle micro is pretty done. But now with a couple of cannons, that might prove a little bit of a challenge to get up the ramp, and without siege mode, with the army trickling in, the cannons might just do pretty well against this. On the high ground, one Goliath snuffs it already, but there is more coming, so the cannon will be in dire straits soon, I fear. But as all the action is here, it's only one Goliath, and a couple of more in a line might have been better, but Marine is being engaged by the Hind turret, Hind cannon, and that's pretty good. No Storm. I wonder where Storm, what's keeping Storm, because there is money. Not as much though, but the army supply for Protoss is actually bigger than that of Terran. And I'd really wish to know why, because there is so much money and so much production capacity. Or is there? We've got 1, 2 factories. And that's about it. We've got 2 factories, a barracks and a starport. Okay, so good luck trying to reach a 200 supply army with that. And Protoss is happily mining, not really bothering too much. But there is a force coming with a lot of Dark Templar, and if they get to grips with the Terran, that might prove very deadly. 2 carriers, 1 Dark Archon. Is it the original one? I think it is. Ooh, the Corsair snuffs it, and this base is going to go down, but the entire Terran army is caught. And though a scan was there, and oh, but if all the anti-air is killed, there isn't too much of it. Another Goliath in the line of fire. There are only 2 more Goliaths. Out here a couple more. But these carriers and the scout might do pretty well. And the Dark Templar with the insane DPS. They are really taking this Terran army to pieces. A couple of goons in the background for backup. And with a scout, of course, really dishing out the damage. And this Terran army just evaporates. And that's pretty weird, because ooh! The Reaver in the middle ground fighting the Goliaths. There were 2 carriers somewhere. I do really wish to know where they've gone. And the Protoss army is visiting this base, which is not under threat. They could have killed all this this expeditionary force of Terran. And Terran milling with the 2 factories constantly. Not really working, is it? Protoss has much more production capacity, and I think that's the reason why its army is now bigger, but it should do something with that, because this is its last mining base. Terran has got a lot more bases, and the Protoss army is sitting back here needlessly doing nothing, while Terran is getting all the money out of the map. You can see Terran's got a huge bank, small army, and Protoss has a huge army but sitting back with it, and that's not really how it's done in this game. And Terran's slowly putting an army back together, lots of tanks. Have we got Storm? We have got Storm at the moment. Oh, whoa, conflict. Good. I like conflict. Oh, and the Dark Templars are evaporating the 1 carrier. We've got one High Templar, that's good. And what will it do? Templar! Yes! Medic and a Firebat and some splash to this tank. Can do one more. Oh, do more. Do some more. Oh, and those are pretty good storms. Lots of damage. I still think it's got one more in it. And this base has been dismantled by the Goons and the Dark Templar. And besides, this Terran army is very low on hit points because of all the storms and just losing. Terran is on 12 supply. 12 army supply. 10 army, 12 army supply again. And Protoss roams the map. This base can be taken again. And Terran frantically trying to reproduce its army out of 4 construction buildings, which in a large-scale conflict like this is not really working, is it? And Protoss is out of money, it's only mining from 1 base, and if that dries up there will be no more money. But 2 bases killed, 2 Terran bases killed, and ooh, the Dark Templars really having a go at it in the middle of the map. More Dark Templars, and that's pretty good. Lots of SCVs being killed. These 2 turrets are left alone, and now Protoss is on the warpath because the Terran army is only 15 and it can't really remake of 4 production buildings in a really large scale conflict like this one. This vulture is dead, and another base for Terran is falling. Terran's got a huge bank, however, and this base needs to be tackled, but Protoss is rapidly mining out. It's got some money. Might build another Nexus. I hope that this probe is going to do that, because it's... Oh yes, and that's really... I really like the decision making that Roman Danielis is showing, because although its tactics leave much to be desired, it knows that it's mining out somehow and spent its last 400 minerals. This base is really nearly gone. It saved 400 to take this base, and immediately lots of probes are being transferred. And now going for the last mining Terran base. That's not really the problem. Terran's problem is it's got 3 army supply, and oh dear. Oh, that tank immediately taking a lot of damage, and now is being engaged by 1 carrier. But that is the problem. 1, 2 factories, a barracks, and a starport, and another base going down the drain. Protoss with huge probe transfer from all corners of the maps. Probes are being transferred to this base, and I think there must be 40 probes here at once. Might take another base soon, but you can see now it's not saving any money. Or is it? It is saving money for something, so perhaps going for another base. But the Terran army is done for. It's only 3 supply worth. Oh, sacrificing a probe, always a good idea. And now Protoss has saved enough money for another base. And I think that's a really decent decision, because you've got a 90 versus 7 army supply situation, which will last you pretty long, especially as Terran, although has a it's mined out, but has a huge bank, which it will need half an hour to finish. Oh, and it's got another base, so making workers here, but the Protoss army has found it, and that's a huge problem. 400 saved, and I think it's just producing off with 400 minerals as a minimum, so it can place another Nexus somewhere. Oh, and this scouting vulture really surprised me. It could have killed all these probes, but isn't doing so. The base being torn down by Protoss, and going to speed it up just a little bit, because this game will have to end sometime with it. Now the Terran army is no more, and Protoss is filtering into the main base. Another expansion taken by Roman Danielis, and Roman Danielis is really impressing me a lot at this moment. A huge Congo line long distance mining. By now the Nexus will have finished. So with 2 bases mining, supply in order, army okay, And now it will only have to find these last two, 3. Yeah, there we go. So its scouting is pretty good, or it remembered that there was a turret here. I say GG, well played also to Marikadik, because that was really well done. And let's hop into the next game, which is going to be Crazio versus TSCMO Protoss. Also suggested to me by Dan Gant. And games which are suggested are either very stupid or very beautiful. In the latter game I feared it might be a little bit stupid, but then it turned out to be very, very beautiful. So I have my hopes up for this game that it will be really stupid, because I always like to watch stupid games. But considering the players, Crazio and the Protoss of TSCMO, which has gotten some updates and attention by TSCMO, pretty well developed and turning into a monster, which of course comes in handy if you are playing the #1 ranked bot of the moment. Lots of Dark Templars. We are having a bit of a Dark Templar series of 2 games at the moment. Crazio though setting up shop with a small army, TSCMO doing all of this of 10 supply, and I really don't know why that is, but 10 supply into pure Dark Templar into carriers or something, I don't know. Crazio meanwhile is suffering a little bit from all the Dark Templars. There is no scan apparently, and that's a pity if the enemy is going pure Templar. Oh, another scan pops, but there will be more Dark Templar, and if they trickle in like this, you don't really have, you don't really gain much by your scans. So you've got a oh, and the pylon just lives. That's very unfortunate for TSCMO Protoss. Very close for Crazio, and TSCMO with oh, that's a pity. Might have wanted a goon or a cannon here. But TSCMO Protoss now setting up shop with a lot of units, and the Dark Templar, that's a lot of Dark Templar. How many have you got? You've got 7 Dark Templar, 2 Scouts, and that is called the Stove, I believe. Just doing it with Scouts and Dark Templar, and if there is anyone who can make this work, it's TSCMO. So yeah, there we go. Lots of damage being done, not much anti-air. But Crazio now has a 3rd operational, has got a 4th coming up, and has a 2 science vessels. So the cloak is not really going to do as much for TSCMO as it used to, so perhaps he will switch to something else. Army composition though, 11 DTs, 3 scouts, and yeah, there we go. Dark Templars pretty effective, even with scan, they deal a lot of damage. Might have 1 or 2 cannons at this base like it's got here, just to prevent any miscellaneous vulture run-bys. And Crazio's just being pestered all across the map by Dark Templars, by Scouts. 3 Dark Templars hitting the unprotected 4th base. Yes, there are turrets, but it's not really doing much. And this army in the middle of the map is being detained by Scouts. Ooh, and being engaged. Oh, the SUV is going to block in the tank. And there is no scan available. There is no science vessels everywhere. And now we'll have the cannon, please. Lots of production all across the map by TSCMO. I fear not really enough cannons. Just 1 cannon per base might do it, or 2. That would be ideal. And the build order is, as you can see, a lot of Dark Templars, lots of Scouts, well, lots, 3 Scouts, and some Zealots. This base is being mown to the ground by these Dark Templars and this 1 Zealot. So macro-wise, TSCMO doing pretty well. This base, again, being unprotected, so I can see these. Oh, and it will need a couple of smacks more with the huge side blades these Dark Templars are carrying, or with the Zealots. Couple of hits more. There is an SCV. Will it try to repair the command center, and will it reach it? This 1 DT is doing lots of damage, and the Zealots are trying to get out, but there is just too much stuff. The SCV, will it reach the command center in time? Oh, it's a nice side story, but for now, unit composition is... Oh, more Zealots are being factored in, that's good. And Crazio... where was it? Oh, I missed and I radiated something. Crazio is just being hindered all across the map by these Dark Templars, and the Scouts are over this with their huge anti-air damage, and versus SCVs they're pretty good as well. Now TSCMO with a charge of Zealots and Dark Templars is doing pretty well, and Crazio is not repairing this base, so might be in for a bit of shock. Main is not nearly out, the Naturals and the Main will be out in a couple of minutes. And TSEMU has got the larger army somehow. And if there is anyone making this work, going for all the upgrades, and this is utterly ridiculous. So there we go, turrets being engaged, SCVs being engaged. Going to speed it up just a notch. Now the base is being repaired, but it's so... Look at this band of Dark Templars just mowing everything down. This base is under attack once again. And now a couple of SCVs. Now this base will be engaged. And will be killed, hopefully, but TSEMU is really focusing on the units, and that's, I think, okay, because if you let Crazio get a large army together, it can do its thing with the Death Ball and the tanks and the science vessels, and you'll be very hard pressed. But look at all these bands of... Oh, we had an irradiated zealot. TSEMU with double the army supply is all over this, and this base, although it's not yet... Oh, well, this torn down-ish, almost, some kind of almost now. The entire army going after one vulture. The Dark Templars got it now. So Crazio, ooh, this base, will it live? Perhaps it will die. But again, so much force is being spent on capturing one SCV, and now the base dies. So that's pretty well done for TSEMU. Crazio now, the natural's out, the main is out, the third is still mining, but it's got only 24 army supply. TSEMU was all over this. The army composition now looks like 8 scouts, 15 DTs, 20 zealots, and this is absolutely ridiculous. TSEMU not expanding anymore because it's maxed. It's keeping 6 supply for something. Oh no, now it hasn't, so perhaps a carrier. And now the battle is on because there is a 116 versus 36 army. Zealots and Dark Templar are entering the third base, and the scouts are pressuring the natural with a carrier in support, and a lot of Dark Templars too. Crazio with a very well protected one last siege tank, dishing out a lot of damage, matrix vultures, but the zealots are just too much, having swept through the third, depopulated it. Base is still standing, but there is just nothing there for Crazio, and Crazio's out. No more money coming in, and a handful of units, only 38 army supply. The TSEMU is suffering a little bit, because this composition of Zealots, Dark Templars and Scouts is not optimal for fighting a tight choke like this. But in the end, oh, you can see the Scouts being engaged. That's a lot of damage being suffered. And one dies. Oh no, just lives. But TSEMU's got the map, taking another base. Crazio is sort of stuck. The third is still mining though, and a lot of Goliaths. So I think that if Crazio can keep its Goliaths together with a couple of science vessels, it can do pretty well. But now there are 3... oh god, there are 3 carriers. And with the huge infantry wave coming up, turrets being mown down, and the last bit of anti-air is falling, only 2 turrets. Ooh, that's pretty well done. Lots of damage being done, splash to the health of these zealots. But the natural is overrun. The third is being overrun. We've got 4 carriers now, and there just aren't enough Goliaths. So that's very unfortunate, but a really beautiful game of TSEMU. And if you want to know how you beat the #1 bot of the moment, you just do the stove. And of course you've got to be TSEMU to teach your bot how to do it well. That might be just one little snag, but that said, it's pretty good. TSEMU, upgrade buildings, production at all the bases. Oh, hello, 4, and he's got so much money, and he's trying to keep the money down, so really applying the pressure and applying the strength he's got. Crazio tapping out with only 3 science vessels left. That is the good game, and I say, well, let's get into the next game, because there is so much I've got to talk about this week. So we saw an update of Gambot. I still haven't really figured out what it was. I should ask the author. And now it's taking its natural first instead of a base on the other end of the map. Wheelbot, of course, new player on the field, plays random, and is pretty good so far. Gambot now with 3 bases. Oh, and that might be changes, taking them all in the same corner of the map just to get a little bit more traction. Wheelbot though, pretty safe against random Zergling incursions by 2 bunkers. Lots of Marines out of 2 buildings, and that's going to be an academy surely. So perhaps this will have medics and fire bats and all. 4th base being taken by Garden, and the... Okay, I'm not going to wait for that. The 5th base will be taken soonish as well. Not too much tech. And Wilbot just has got things well under control with 2 bunkers, lots of marines, and now with the medics. So these A-moved units are not going to be too much of a problem in the near future. The problem will be that it is 5 versus 1, will be 5 versus 1, 6 versus 1 base soon. And although there are a lot of workers, they can't really long distance mine with all this stuff going on in the natural. But army-wise, Wilbot is almost 10 times that of... Oh, that's pretty ballsy. You can't surely be meaning to do that. Oh, yes, you can. Wilbot dies, that's good. And now we've got a... Oh god, we've got a Lurker. You've got a scan, but you've got... Oh, that's a scan. And the Lurker, it dies not before exacting a huge and heavy toll on these Marines. Marines, though, with the bunker now, and the comset is there, might take the natural, because then you'd have another comset, and if I'm not very much mistaken, more Lurkers will be on the way, and Mutas too, so that's... Wilbot will need to defend on so many fronts, and Gambit is just taking all the bases on the map. It can lose units. You can see army supply still 10 times that of Zergs, or Terran of course. And units are running back. This Lurker is not going to get in here. We've got a Queen as well. So Terran is really finding itself in an uneasy position. And Zerg just taking another base. So before long this will be a huge mess. And I think that's going to be the Hive. So Hive being taken, and it's just nothing more, just a couple of drones, mining, larvae, and A-moving units. Oh, and I heard a Muta died just here. Sorry, I was a little bit late with that. The Queen's still keeping tabs on things, and the one Vulture is taking a defensive stand at the bridges. Or something. Together with the Queen. Well, if you can put up 3 or 4 Lurkers here, you might hold quite a bit of bio. And the Muta, oh, with the stim now. So, if Wilbot decides to do something with this army, it is almost 100 supply worth of medic marine with a stim. And let me see, oh, we've got brutal too. We've got some upgrades as well. We've got no science facility. The main is mining out, that's a bit of a problem, but it could really do something with this 100 supply. Oh, and 2! Oh! And a Broodling to just for good measure. And now all the bases are being taken by, have been taken by Garm, while Terran is mining out. So now you'll see 80 versus 12 army supply. It used to be about 7 for Garm, and that will slowly and surely, or rather quickly and also surely, devolve into a huge advantage for Garm. Greater Spire, we've got a Hive, we've got, what's this going to be? Just a little bit of defense at every base, I like that. Queen's Nest, Ultra Cavern, and will this, oh, another Spire. Like to see Defiler, oh, and finally a base being attacked, so Wilbot getting some back. But already it's not 10 times the supply, it's not even 5 times the supply. And although there is a lot of firepower in this bio ball, there is no natural expansion, and that's really a huge problem for Wilbot. Seeing that, oh well, Garm doesn't have the entire map anymore. But there are Ultras coming, and will they have upgrades? No, not yet. But still, there are Ultras. And these 2 Lurkers, oh, and Guardians, and Ultras, and this one Ultra isn't going to kill even a single Firebat. Firebats with medics are so strong versus Zerg melee units. This Lurker, though, is really going to dish out the damage, but it too will die. And Wilbot is really fighting rather effectively. And I like to see that the Guardian's being torn down, long distance mining is okay, 60 workers of 1 base, hello. So if you are going to add a couple of, oh, that's pretty ballsy. If you are going to add more bases, and now the Terran army is really scattering across the map, and that's going to devolve in a huge mess of a game, because there are all kinds of nasty Zerg units out there, and even though you are going to take down the occasional Hydra, versus all these nasty units, oh, and another base being taken down by Wilbot, I like that. So Garm slowly but surely being engaged, and Terran fighting really effectively. Now with 2, oh, and that is really, these Firebats with a medic are so strong, hello. And another one, oh, without a medic this time. Going to corner Hydra. Hydra microing for its life. Medic now being sat on, oh, by a muter, but the muter morphs into something. And Terran is still holding its position. And, ooh, almost got to this base, but was detracted by something. I think by this base, which the entire Terran army is now engaging. Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. But in the long run, surely this can't work. And you can't see on the minimap, it's just the Terran army and all the Zerg forces are moving up to it. But even the Ultras can't stand the tide of these medic marine bulls, and Wilbot, with the long distance mining, is actually getting a larger army over time. And although there are a lot of queens, they still need 150 energy for broodling. So, oh, but now a small victory for Garm. This position just can't be attacked, and even if you're broodling 10, you're not being cost effective. Perhaps if you take out all the medics at once, you might get something done, because these marines like to stim a lot, and even now these medics are getting pretty low, but there are so many of them. So lots of Zerg blood being bled in the middle of the map, and Zerg is just going to produce units upon units. This base has been retaken, that base has been retaken, and it's just going to be a march upon the Terran natural. The Queens have got this. The carrier, the Guardian is doing damage as well, but there is no really concerted effort on the part of Zerg to get things done. And you can see Wilbot is holding his 100 supply, 110, 100. And Zerg is really having to fight hard, but his army is growing. But that's all in queens, so effectively the army is about 10 and a lot of queens. So Terran really fighting hard, and it might at long distance outmine this natural. Of course, then it will be over. And the Guardian doing a lot and lots of damage, but this bio ball is just too strong. You can't with queens fight it cost effectively. The real problem is that the natural is getting low. There is some money in the bank, but it's not really going to work, is it? And now Terran is faltering. It is faltering. The natural is being camped. Oh, there is nothing in these bases here. Garm is overtaking it now with more Guardians at the edges. And now there is a Lurker in there, which means that the money stream will be interrupted. All these SCVs are taking huge amounts of damage. There are medics healing them, but it is over. The natural is now pacified, and Zerg is maxed, nearly. And you can see how quickly it's going. It's just, it can't. It's maxed, and taking the natural, that's the GG. What a power play by Garmbot. And Wilbot, well done. So let's see how you fare against this opponent, which is admittedly a little bit weaker than Garmbot. It's Goliath, and Goliath is, well, sort of standard Terran, just going to do its thing, and the game will be a little bit more equal. Wilbot as Terran, and is Wilbot actually only Terran? Nah. Wilbot, no, it's random, so we're just lucky that we get 2 games in a row as a Terran, so we can compare. That's good. Goliath going for a little bit of a push, and the medics stay behind, so that will be a bit of a problem considering there are 2 bunkers on the high ground. And more Marines coming with medics this time, but still attacking upon onto the high ground. That's going to be pretty stiff. You can see though, ooh, if you're fighting out of reach of the bunkers. Natural now being taken by Goliath. And the Marines of Wilbot are really dishing out the damage. Where are the medics? No medics yet. And the bunker, I like that. Just take a bunker, and I hope this is going to be a natural. It should save some money for that. And Goliath is just attacking piecemeal with 2 versus 1 bases. Yeah, and the natural. Oh, that's pretty pro. Now we'll see the Wilbot with a natural. Let's see how it's going to fare. And Goliath is just going to do its thing. Oh, with a little bit of a tech switch. Got a starport and all. But 2 bases now for Wilbot with 60 workers. And here comes... oh, 3 bases now. That's pretty pro. here comes the Academy, which means there will be medics soon, and a comsat, and another one, and a third one. So pretty well done. A third base being taken for Goliath as well. And even though these aren't the best Terran bots in the field, I'd say we've got quite a game on our hands. Willbot with 33 army supply, Woolybot with about 50, and the compositions are about equal too, but Willbot is only going to make bio. Hello, and look at what the difference a stim makes. Stimp Marines versus non-stimp Marines, it's a massacre. And Willbot just doing everything just with barracks. Lots of them, it's 3 versus 3 base. Goliaths being built on the high ground because there is a radiating setup of buildings, and this one has determined it should build here on the high ground in the other base. And now the Stimp Marines are blasting their way through a couple of Goliaths, and Willbot, look at them swarming out on the map, and as soon as it will find the enemy, it will converge, and this is how you play Zerg, ladies and gentlemen. Oh god, only it's playing Terran. And now the Stimped forces, the Genghis Khan of the infantry, is now... oh dear, look at all the damage being done. Just this small group of medic marine blasting its way through all these non-stimming units, and that is... whoa, that is Zerg, ladies and gentlemen. That's really Zerg, and very, very beautiful. If you can, I think you can play pure Bio-Terran in AI, because you've got this huge bunch of APM to spend, and if you've got the correct decision making with a couple of drops, a couple of backstabs, and this was the main base, and now this huge army of 128, 35 army supply worth of stimming medic marine and fire bats. Absolutely humongous. And there it comes. Watch the minimap, that is so beautiful. They are swarming, they are attacking the high ground now for this base, and even stimming to tear down these buildings. And this base is really feeling the heat right now, because although Goliath's got the money, it's got no time to stop this wave of onslaught heading its way, and that is the GG. Willbot, wow, taking more bases. Let's look at the upgrades. Just a 1-1, but has got all the upgrades with a... okay, well, just interesting to see where this will go. So, next, we have got Microwave versus Sparks, and Microwave, of course, is a very good Zerg. Sparks is the Terran project by McGrave, if I'm not mistaken. Sorry, I should know that. The voting screen will have some information. And Sparks is... yeah, that's a McGrave project. And it's getting pretty good. Originally only Sparks play, but now got a bit of a macro setup as well. And Microwave, trying its hand with the first wave of Zerglings, finding the enemy. And the Marines are microing pretty well. And the workers are coming off the line as well. This drone is doing something. A couple of workers being lost though by Spark. That might be a problem. But there is a Vulture, and if the Vulture would be so kind as to help out versus the Zerglings, it might actually devolve into a game. Oh, and only now it's coming. So, but the Zerglings, they were scared beforehand, so no harm done. And now it's 13 versus 13 workers. Army supply is about balanced. Terran lost a couple of workers, but has got the superior attack at the moment, and although there is one sunken, Zerg is sort of safe for now. Building a lot of workers for 2 bases. And with a Hydra, with a couple of Hydras trying to attack so many Vultures, yeah, you might do that, but you shouldn't run too much. And the Vulture's now dropping a couple of mines just to be sure. And this SCV is still there, wow. Incredible. A Microwave doing things of 2 bases, and I have castigated it for that tendency, but it can be very effective because it can put a lot of pressure on the enemy. If the enemy, however, is going mech, that should really be... oh god, a Lurker. That's good, it should get down and fight and not run so much. It must be French. Microwave with the French Lurker, and now the French Lurker... ooh, oh no! Oh god, 4, 5, 6... yeah, that's how you lose a battle, just park on a Lurker and have no scan. And now the Hydra's getting something done, but with the French Lurker in front, or in front of the retreat I should say, not really working. Third base being taken for Microwave, and second base being taken for Sparks. Ooh, that was a really good mine hit. Congratulations, but the French Lurker is really keeping Sparks into the game. Oh, and then Sparks does something stupid again. And now the Hydras are coming off the line. The French Lurker will unburrow, probably. And get itself killed, probably. This SUV is still there. It's just killing buildings. And finally there is a Hydra which tries to do something about it. Not really too committed, because where's the fun in that? And the Lurker seems to have snuffed it. So that's unfortunate for Terran. That it hasn't got the Lurker to play with, because now it's got Scan. And instead of Sparks play, we see a lot of mech, so I think that is going to devolve into a quite capable bot. Ooh, the microwave is just running so much, it's not even funny anymore. Third base is up. Worker count really okay for Zerg. Terran worker count a little bit low, I would say, but it's being worked on, so nothing too much to complain about there. And Zerg is trying to harass, but it's got a very small army, and these Hydras are so juicy for these tanks, and these tanks, they don't siege. If they did, have they got siege mode at all? Haven't got siege mode. Oh, we've got Mutas too. And, well, we've got a couple of Goliaths, so it's still anyone's game, but the tanks without siege mode are not really getting enough done. Ooh, that was another ugly mine hit. And Microwave has really got the initiative, taking a fourth base. Oh well, here comes your tech. And Sparks has got the units, but isn't really fighting as a Terran at the moment. He's fighting like a Protoss, forgive me if I should say so, but the tanks aren't sieging, and these units are just moving all about in the map, not really having a purpose. Worker count okay. Have we got any upgrades? We have got some upgrades, yes. But no siege mode. And although you've got the medic upgrade for energy and optical flare, the problem is this. And the third base is trying to be populated, and the Zerg army ignores the SUV transfer, so that might actually succeed. And even though Zerg's doing a lot of damage, I don't think that Terran is out of this yet, because these Goliaths do so well against these Zerglings, Hydras and Mutas, and even without the tanks sieging, Terran still has got a sizable army. But Zerg is trying to do everything about that it can. Ultra Cannon here, upgrades left and right, lots of workers. How many workers have we got for Zerg? We've got 60 workers versus only 15 of Terran's. Terran's main is out, yeah, that's... So, pro tip, use siege mode, because it can take you places, and probably also places you'd like to go, namely into victory. Now, Microwave with the very tight 2-base opening just makes it work with the contain and Terran not sieging. So I say GG, and let's head into the next game. It's Tier Protoss versus Oyvind Johannesson. And I really should speed up the game, because it's just going to be a long broadcast, and that was not really the plan. But let's see how far we can get. 2-base opening for both players. We've got the pool, we've got the gas, and at the Zerg end of things, Protoss end of things, we're just going to get the aggression, because Tier's all about aggression timings, and well, let's see how it's going to go. Zerg, though, venturing out on the map, setting up a contain-ish thing with a couple of Zerglings and more Zerglings. Well, there were Hydras too. For the moment, only Zerglings, it seems like. Worker count, pretty okay for 2 bases. Protoss, of course, doing a little bit better with the Zealots, which can do pretty well against Zerglings, so no big problems there. But third base being taken for Johannesson, and that is your problem if you are contained. If you are contained, you really need a good game plan. Get the correct units up, because if the enemy has got more economic power and builds the units you can't counter, it's a problem, and you can't scout it. Oh, and the Zerglings now butcher a couple of Zerglings. The Zealots butcher a couple of Zerglings, of course. And Zerg is slowly but surely containing-ish, but these Protoss, it can't. If these Protoss ever decide to march on one of the Zerg bases as a Zerg, you can't really do... Oh, that's I like. Hidden base taken. You don't really visit that quickly as a Protoss. It's your own third base, so a little bit ballsy. And the Zerglings are soliciting another beating up by these Zealots now with a couple of goons. So the Protoss army is really growing into something. Johannesson, though, is trying for a bit of the Gambot approach, just build lots of bases. But then again, if your enemy is tier Protoss with such a reputation for heavy beatings with well orchestrated timing pushes, you should be really careful. And now with the upgrades too, I think that's going to be a bit of a problem in the long run. Only 23 workers and an army that's worth basically nothing, especially if you lose parts of it to stupid run-bys or run-ins like that. But then again, the economic forces are really trying to tipping in the balance of Zerg, because the worker count's slowly rising, and with all these bases, Protoss is not really moving out now, not losing Zerglings, but look at the production capacity of Protoss. This is going to be one dedicated half push of 2 bases. And Zerg now adding in Hydra, so if you've got about 20 Hydras versus the Goon army, yeah, and here the battle is on. The battle is on. The Zerglings try to take a lot of damage, and they have got the upgrades. They've got the +1 armor and weapons, which will make them so effective versus Zerglings, and there aren't enough Hydras yet. There are only 2 Hydras. That is a huge problem, and Zerg, although it's got a lot of bases, hasn't really got the workers. And winning a small fight here in the rear. The main push of the Protoss is still going though, so it's withered down a little bit. And Zerg could do something, but it should do something, and something coordinated. This base is up for grabs by this army, and this army is doing nothing. And all the filtered in reinforcement just going to die to these 1-1 zealots. This army needs to be pulled back immediately, and I like this to keep the Protoss on their toes, but the main army has got to come back and deal with this incursion, because this sunken is going to be torn down and you might lose your natural and your main, and there is no recovering from there. Worker count wise, Zerg is doing okay, but and the main army's just made it back in time, is fighting on so many fronts, but the Protoss army really is struggling for it. And now the Zealots are dying. There are just too many Zerglings. Small group still here with a Zealot and a Zergling and a Hydra. The Hydra is dying as well, but these Zealots are getting pretty low. It's only 1 Zealot left. And now there are only 2 goons and 1 Zealot and some reinforcement that are being chased back to base. And although there is a next wave building, I think by now Zerg has got 30 workers, and these bases are getting better and better saturated. The economic advantage will be there, and the main Zerg army is chasing these units, but it should do something about these 2 Zealots and 2 goons, or 1 Zealot right now and 1 goon. This goon will die probably pretty quickly, and Zerg hasn't got, it's got some upgrades. It's got Zerg speed, Hydra speed, range, +1 melee weapons, and I think it saved the day. 3rd base coming up for Protoss. Protoss got the next wave ready, and the Zerg army is puny, is absolutely puny. And Zerg is not really fighting effectively, but it's got the map, and that's got to count for something. The next wave though, there is no Zerg army this time, so it's going to lose bases. The tier Protoss is going to run away with it. 3rd taken behind this, 1 base taken out, and Oyvind Johansen couldn't get an army together to fight a decent fight. Just all about harass. Tier taking down 2 bases at once. And now the tides are turned, because the tables are turned. The tide is coming in for Zerg. And this Protoss army of 110 supply, Protoss is maxed, is not going to go anywhere at all. Just into the natural, into the main, and this will be a quick, or not a quick victory, but a victory for Protoss. So I thought, well, let's have another look at Oyvind Johansen. This time it's playing Terran. And as a random player versus tier Protoss, that was quite a decent showing. I need not tell you, of course. In the end, it wasn't enough. And Marines filtering in are actually just going to make their way in there. Brian Weber not really getting its stuff together. Killing 1 Marine, killing 2, then getting low. Couple of Zerglings. And Oyvind Johansen, where I like the Zerg build so much, the Terran build leaves a little bit to be desired, because you can't throw away Marines like that. Natural now up for, and the 3rd take in the natural being constructed for Zerg. And have we got... No, we've got no macro hatchery, so on larvae it's a little bit starved. And mulling about with the workers too much, so it's losing huge amounts of mining time in the middle of the map with its workers. And Terran now going for some marine pushes, but it's not really working, is it? Zerg is getting out of control. If this hatchery gets up, it will have more larvae, but already there are more Zerglings out on the map to scout and kill marines. But with the medics, I think you're in a good position there. You're really in a good position there to do something. But you've got to be careful that you also need marines, because if you only got medics, it ends like that. Ooh, and now with a fire bat and a medic. That's pretty pro. Oh, the medic is now in among the worker line. That's good. Fourth base being taken by Brian Weber. Weber really... And I like this expansive Zerg style, because Terran bots really have to struggle, and in the early game they can't project too much power. But a small push like this, you need a lot of Zerglings to stop that. So either build a couple of Sunkens, or tack up to Hydras, and there are Hydras, or there's the possibility of Hydras. But if you keep a small push of 5 Marines and 2 Firebats and 3 Medics together, you're in a very good position to do very much... Oh god, another base being taken by Weber, and it was demonstrated earlier, if you can keep your army together like this, you can kill Zerglings and Hydras forever. And this is just ballsy, trying to take this base. Or just taking this base. Hello. Could do with 3 Sunkens here, because you're just going to be mown down by... yeah, you see it's just Firebats and Marines with Stim and Medics. Going to be too much. So now in among the natural, and once the natural for Terran gets up, that's a lot of barracks. Production capacity for Zerg is limited, and for Terran is really great, so Terran going at it, demolishing the natural and the main at the same time. Army supply wise, the 30 versus 1.5. Zerg has not got the technology to build units anymore, but can build a couple of Hydras. And it's only got 24 workers and losing bases all across the map. That's very unfortunate, and now has no technology left whatever. So that was a bit of a gimme by Brian Weber. I liked the start of the game. Ooh, this overlord is going to be pretty dead pretty soon. And Brian Weber is not really rebuilding at this moment, just taking bases, but hasn't got the technology. There's only got 1 army supply somewhere in something. Oh, 1 Hydra, and the Hydra is going to die. So yeah, you need to fight. Need to fight, and once you let the Terran get the 2 bases, you can't rely on harassing with single units one at a time. And look at this Terran, and the Terrans, the Zerg are trying to play like Zerg, and the Terran are trying to play like Terran, but the Terran are playing like Sauron Terran with huge swaths of units all over the map. And oh, we've got 1 hatchery here left. Let's see if Weber can stage a comeback. You never know. Terran is maxed, he's just visiting all the bases, now taking down this extractor. And oh, they found it. Oh, how very unfortunate. That is the GG. So, oh, again, Johannesson. Why have I got so many games with Johannesson? It's a ZVZ this time. And we haven't seen the Protoss yet, so expansion first into 6 Zerglings first. And these 6 Zerglings might very well do a lot of damage if they attack. And Johannesson, really, what kind of a Zerg opening is that? Just build 2 Zerglings, and yeah, oh god. Well, you're in an okay position, but I dare say that was a very ballsy opening. Worker counts slowly rising, and Force Bot now, by being passive with the first 6 Zerglings, but could have killed this base, is now in a very terrible position, because I can't believe this. And I can't believe that Johannesson is keeping Zerglings in his main, while there is a huge Zergling army outside of the natural. Sunken a little bit further back. I like that. But there were just so many Zerglings for 4 spot, and it just could overrun everything in a matter of seconds. Taking a natural, building a spire, and Johannesson is just sitting back in the main, trying to kill this Overlord. I don't know what that's about. So this is a bit of an awful game coming up. Spire done. Have we got a spire here as well? Is that going to be a spire? Probably. Yeah, 2 spires. And hopefully the Mutas are more inclined to attack than are the Zerglings. Oh yeah, there we go. And now all the Zerglings run back. Okay. And the Mutas keep sitting here and... That's not a 3rd base being taken. Overlords tagging Overlords. For some reason. Oh, and a big battle in the middle of the map. Just Zerglings versus Mutas. Where are the Mutas? Johansson's got a lot of money, he's got Overlords, he's got larvae probably. No, it hasn't got any larvae. So that's very unfortunate. So now it loses all its lings. And 4 spot will be out with a vengeance with a lot of Mutas and Zerglings. And now perhaps it will attack into the natural. It will attack 1 drone. And now it will attack into the natural. Hey, there it goes, and as predicted it will overrun everything in a matter of seconds, especially at higher speeds. 3rd base being taken by 4 spot, and could really be a little bit more aggressive with the first Zerglings, because it nearly suffered a build order loss, and Johansson can't really deal with neutral minerals, so that's pretty good. And that's the game, so let's get into the next one, because how much have we got left? Oh, still quite a lot. Eric Hammer versus Purple Wave. So initial stages, blah blah, speeding up, minerals being mined. Eric Hammer, haven't seen an update from him forever, and Purple Wave going for the proxy, while Zerg is going for, again, a lot of hatcheries in the middle of the map, this time backed up by a couple of Zerglings. And 2 sunken, so I like that a little bit better. And the proxy zealots are now moving back to base because they've spotted too many Zerglings, and that's a good position for Eric Hammer because you've got a lot of units out on the map, and the enemy army is sort of cut off from its production. That's unfortunate. And now there are only 5 Zerglings. The zealots are moving back into the aggressive stance, killing a couple of Zerglings along the way. That's good. And now with the... oh, I think Zerg will be okay with 2 Sunkens, surely. Yeah, there we go. And the Zerglings come back in time. 3rd base, sort of undetected for now. I think Zerg is in an okay position, but you never know. So there we go, lots of zealots, and they are coming in to save the day, but are dying as well. And Zerg just sitting back, and I don't understand why you would go aggressive and then sit back. That doesn't make any sense. While Protoss now also has some production capacity at its main base, and now with a couple of goons is trying to engage the Hydra army, but there are so many Hydras. Hello. 4th base being taken behind all this by Zerg, and Protoss taking the natural, but I wonder will it ever finish. The Hydras don't really dare commit. Oh, they catch 2 goons off guard, and this base is really hindering Purple Wave at the moment. That's a nice concave though, with the Zealot to catch the damage. I think these Hydras, yep, oh, that's very beautifully done by Purple Wave, losing a couple of goons. But overall, this Zerg army has been decreased quite a bit, or killed quite a bit. And the natural probably will get up, so it will be 4 versus 2 base. And if you can display the same level of combat micro, you are going to be in a good position, especially if you can tear down this 3rd base. Zerg has got no army at all, and that's very unfortunate, or fortunate for Protoss. And kill a couple of drones, kill a base, perhaps kill this one as well. And that's really the bane of Zerg at the moment, I feel. They can't really get a decent army together and fight in larger conflicts. Saving the 3rd though, very nail-bitingly close in the red. 3rd base being taken for Protoss though, Protoss with a large army. Upgrade-wise, +1, just starting. Zerg in an okay position, but Zerg really should learn to fight. Just fight large engagements, take the hits, take the damage, do damage. All this running in and out is not going to do anything, and the Zerglings are in the rear and the Hydras are in the front. That's awful. But then again, these are AIs, and you can say as a human what you want, but it's very, very clever to have them play like this. A Lurker position to morph is not really optimal, because this zone will be in Protoss hands for a bit. Third base, 3 versus 4 bases, worker-wise, Purple Wave way ahead, almost double, hello. And Zerg will Zerg. Oh god, and that's something that's really getting on my tits. Just ignoring Lurkers, that's not the way to fight them. It's only the way to fight whiny babies that want attention, just ignore them. But Lurkers don't really match the same criterion, because whining babies will not tear up your Protoss army in general, hopefully. So no 5th base for Zerg, and a drone count still pretty low. Drone count, worker count double. Oh, and that's pretty good. Just zoning it off with the Lurkers while the Lings are in among the workers. That's going to be the end of the 3rd base, as Purple Wave hasn't got... Oh, finally it's got an observatory, but where is the observer? And these 3 Lurkers are just doing so much damage now, in among the Zealots, in among the workers. This base should be torn down, and the workers are going to be torn down as well. Where is the observer? There is no... Oh, there is an observer finishing, and the moment it finishes... Da-da-da-dum, here it is. But by this time, the 3rd will be history. And that's pretty nasty. Pretty nasty indeed. Zerg has now got a bit of an army advantage. No 5th base yet. The worker count is slowly rising, so that's okay. But should take another bases or another couple of bases. And these Hydras are really stupid. But Zerg is now in among the natural, and this Dark Templar might just save it. Kill the Lurkers, they can do so much damage. This one is dying as well, but the... Oh, focusing the main nexus, that's pretty well done. Another Lurkers, and these 2 Dark Templars just haven't got the damage, and the natural dies, so Protoss in a horrible position, especially as Zerg is taking a 5th now. Protoss hasn't got the army. Zerg's got a very puny army as well, but these Dark Templars really don't have what it takes. Zerg, that's very good prioritization of the bases, and this Dark Templar is going to find the 6th base. Will Zerg now try to save it? It has got the Overlord speed, and it will send an Overlord. And oh, that's pretty reactive by Arakhammer. Arakhammer really, Dark Eric needs to come back and to update its bot, because it's such a beauty. And Protoss just put the skin of its teeth help there. There's a large Zerg army again out on the map with Lurkers, and that's going to be a bit of a problem, especially if your army supply as a Protoss is 12. And the Lurkers are in among the natural again. I can't see this going very well. This base got taken down by a Dark Templar, that's something. That base will be under attack soon, and without an Overlord it will be in a good position. Yep, going for the defensive structure first, now with the Overlord trying to run. And with an Overlord and a Sunken, you should be safe from one Dark Templar. More bases being taken though, and the main is overrun. The main is out. That is the GG. Purple Wave, nicely played, but not really going to work, is it? Very unfortunate. GG, and this is the penultimate AI versus AI game. We've got some man versus machine matches coming up with neural nets from Niels Justinson. I wrote that down for a purpose, so I wouldn't get fluffed and miss it, sorry. And it's Steamhammer versus McGrave, and Steamhammer still very good. Going in with the Zerglings for the kill. There is one goon out, some worker defense, absolutely brilliant by McGrave. And McGrave in a good position, so that is going to be that. And all things considering, I think I'll do the man versus machine matches in a separate cast later. Lots of Lings by Steamhammer, really committed of one base. Now trying for the kill, but the goons are just too strong. The Zerglings haven't got the guts. and it's all just one base. So very unfortunate for Zerg that the Zerglings don't dare to fight. Now there is a decent Protoss army, so yeah, you can say lots of Zerglings, but the Protoss army is just getting bigger and bigger. Worker advantage, and now with Corsairs as well, which will kill Overlords, and these Zerglings just don't do anything but keep the Protoss contained, and that's good, but you should capitalize on that and take more bases. Now Protoss is not really daring to venture out. It can't really assess how many Zerg units are on the low ground, and Zerg is... what's Zerg doing? Trying for a muta switch or just make a couple of units here and there. That's a really weird standoff. Lurker doesn't get to burrow, and now it gets the burrow. There is no detection yet for Protoss, so that's unfortunate. And the Lurker is dying, so that's unfortunate. And lots of Scourge and units, but only 2 versus 1 base. Still, Protoss is... surely it's not going to max of 1 base. And now it's moving out-ish. Taking the natural with the Dark Templars. Is there Storm yet? There is Storm. So versus all these Zerglings we might be in for some great storms. Then again with the Observer and all the Zealots might do this as well. Going for the kill. 2 bases by Steamhammer. I don't really know what it's all about, but McRave 2 bases, 3rd base finally for Zerg. Trying to fight. The Templar are way back in the rear, and the Zerg army just evaporate because Protoss has got... oh, hasn't even got the +1. What is this about? I really can't say. 3rd base being taken by Protoss. Protoss now sort of maxed. Really low worker count and large army count. It's losing workers somehow. And the Protoss is mulling about like a madman. And I really wonder what's up with McRave. This is at 16 times the speed and Protoss is just not doing anything. Storm. It's just so reticent, so... and it's maxed, but it's not really attacking. It's always putting back. 32 times the speed. And... yep. 64. Will Zerg actually win this? Because if Zerg inches up another couple of inches, then the Guardians will be in range of the buildings. Yeah, there we go. And McRave just doesn't want to fight. Has taken another base. Steamhammer has 2. But Protoss is only ever pulling back. And it's maxed. It's got a huge bank. Zerg is approaching decent army size, but perhaps the combat value is too high that Protoss doesn't dare attack into this. And now, oh god, all the Guardians died to the Corsairs. Pretty well done. Now Protoss seems to be attacking, going into the natural with the Corsairs and the Zealots, and finally it mustered the courage from somewhere, and it can reproduce almost instantly. 3rd base is mined out. This base hasn't got any more bases, it's got the army. This is a really strange matchup. And it's now using its bank to replenish its army, although the Zerg army has been nil. Okay, well, GG. So, the last game, and going to end with Crazio versus Ironbot. Where did I have that? The leaderboard at the moment looks like this. Crazio on top, still untouched with almost 200 ELO rating between it and Ironbot, and then you've got TSMU, which is approaching Ironbot. TSMU Zerg really pressuring the pack, and TSMU is just moving up there. Eric Hammer still high up there, Bullybot, and then the rest. But Crazio still the undisputed #1, and this is going to be the last game. So, okay, Ironbot with the first vultures, Crazio camping the high ground. Crazio will be going for a couple of other units, and now Crazio is bringing the pressure to Ironbot, but Ironbot's got double the army supply, so nothing much happening there. Natural being taken by Crazio and some Goliaths. And Goliaths can do pretty well against vultures, as can Wraiths. So, yeah, there we go. No natural yet by Iron, and that's one of the main differences between these two players at the moment. Crazio is a little bit better on the macro, and with the flying buildings can do well in tank standoffs. Now, the unit composition is also better for Crazio with more expensive units, and you can see Iron is trying to make this work, and it's not really a beautiful game to cast between these two players because so much is happening all across the map. Iron, having mined up nearly all the bases already, has got the natural up as well. Worker count is comparable, but Crazio, yeah, with the Goliaths and the tanks, is doing okay, and now making its way over with the tanks and the flying buildings, and that's a deciding factor, I feel, at this moment, because every once in a while Crazio can get in a free hit with the tanks because the sight range is just so much better with the buildings, and then Iron will have to move back, and Crazio can just outrange it. Will range down this turret momentarily, and you can see it takes down the mine. The next tank will come, just inch in a little bit closer, and then in range of the turret. And there you go. So Crazio not really doing things better, but these two buildings, Iron doesn't really have an answer to that. And Crazio, with the increased sight range, is just going to do damage, and Iron will have to move back, allowing Crazio to target its defensive structures. And now is fighting back these floating buildings, which will burn down momentarily, which will enable Crazio not to push as hard as it would like to. They are moving back for some reason, I don't know why. They're going to burn down Crazio. Iron taking a third, Crazio taking a third as well, but it's protected by this one tank, and these two vultures can't really get in. Two tanks now for Crazio, and Crazio pushing back Iron, damaging some buildings. And the the barracks has been rebuilt, and this is going to be an eBay, so vision will be ensured once more, and losing a couple of raids. Now Crazio will slowly and surely try to push Iron back at the bridges, and Iron really hasn't got much of an answer, and I feel that is the big difference between these two players. Crazio now taking a fourth base, and it will be 4 versus 3. This base will be cut off momentarily. If Crazio can range this area here. Now Iron can still reach it through here and take this mineral only, which Crazio's already got. But the tanks will be up here shortly, and that will be a huge problem for Ironbot. And there you go, Crazio taking small strides, but if the natural is being ranged and this area here, the worker transfer is impeded, and then Crazio can also try to do damage here at the third. Now the tanks are slowly making the way across the bridges. Movement across bridges is very hard for AIs because you've got to keep a path clear and still move units up there. But you can see Crazio nearly maxed, Iron struggling, is contained, and Crazio just pulling all the stops, protecting every base. There was a tank here as well. There are 2 tanks here. Why is there no tank over here? I don't know. But Crazio just going to blast down the natural, and this base will be under attack. Although there is a little bit of production too, I feel that it's not completely safe. And the tank core of Crazio. Look at that. If you've got that approaching your natural, you're not in a good position. These tanks, without the vision, every time a new tank arrives, it will move up 1 slot closer and blast down these tanks, all Iron bots. The gas is blown to pieces, Iron can't rebuild it. And these tanks, there goes the first, there goes the second. Crazio inching closer, taking the third. So that's the game really. Crazio demonstrating why he's the #1 bot with the vision and the better pushes. Takes down #2 Iron. That was the game, so this was this week's broadcast. I'll be back with a Man vs Machine broadcast, still got CRG and AIDE to do. But for the regular updates about what's been happening on the student StarCraft AI tournament server, this was it. Visit us at the website. In the bottom right you can see it. You can watch these monsters play 24/7. For now I say thank you and goodbye.